Absolute Knicks Nation. The streets are buzzing. Knicks take Game 5 at the Garden. We're headed back to Indiana, where this series is going to come down to the wire, as Indiana did not show up tonight, but the New York Knicks defense and grit was enough to lead this one wire to wire. Jalen Brunson got the Knicks off to a hot start. Karl-Anthony Towns showed up offensively, and the New York Knicks role players had a big part in this massive victory, 111-94. And what a series it's been so far, and it's only fitting that it continues. This series continues to go. Let's see what happens. Game 6. The Knicks will have a third try to get another game in Indiana and hopefully bring it back to Madison Square Garden. Could we have a Game 7? 2 years running. Nobody knows, but the hype is going to build. The pressure is going to build on Indiana after an emphatic statement victory tonight from our New York Knicks. Some key adjustments as well. Some things to break down and some flowers to give out tonight, guys. Welcome in to the stream. Salute to Knicks Nation. Tyrese Halliburton did not show tonight, right? That's why a lot of people do call him inconsistent, because the man generally is inconsistent. 8 points, wasn't aggressive tonight. Didn't seem to be phased walking off the court. Seemed to be comfortable that he's going to close it in Indiana, and the Knicks have to make sure that the Indiana Pacers regret this opportunity. But shout out to the squad, the crowd, the energy in the building was fantastic. And we weren't going to go out like this, man. 2 years running, we weren't going to go out on our home floor. And the Knicks put up one of their most grittiest performances, most consistent. And Karl-Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson are the first duo since Kobe and Shaq to start a playoff series with 20 points each for 5 games running. Let's hope we can keep that rolling again for 6 games running. And the Knicks have got one in Indiana. Last game came down to the final minutes. Let's see what happens, but not getting ahead of ourselves tonight. But the Knicks did what they needed to do. Staved off elimination, and it was just really a situation where you're just pleased with how good they played. You know, from start to finish, they got off to a great start. And let's pull up the stats, shout you guys out. Lily Phillips in the house. Johnny, great to see you. Shez V, let's go. Chris Gotti, many coming through. Hopefully we broke their spirit. They're going to definitely come to play in Indiana because they know if we have to bring this back to New York. You see what happened tonight. The Knicks were focused. The Knicks were locked in. Brunson, perfect response from the cap. Right. Dealt with a lot of criticism. We'll talk about that tonight, but he answered the call. 12 of 18, 4 of 7 from downtown, only 4 free throws, hit all of them, 5 dimes, 5 rebounds. 32 points, plus 18. Phenomenal. Karl-Anthony Towns battled some tricky foul trouble again. What else is new? But it is a case of that the New York Knicks had enough from their role players stepping up. Bridges was efficient, 6 of 12. We'll talk about him. Miles McBride hit a big clutch shot as well, big 3. Landry Shamet continues to give the Knicks just phenomenal minutes. And we're 3-2 now, headed back to Indiana, man. The people are going to get, hopefully, an extended series in this one. And let's bring it back to MSG for a Game 7. The Knicks are going to have to probably play their best game to stave off elimination in Game 6. But if they can stay in the game, as we know, we've got the grit. We've got guys that can close it out. All hustle, all heart. Hart had another night of turnovers that were baffling, but he stuck with it late. His rebounding was key to break the Pacers' spirit, second chance points, and our New York Knicks are buzzing tonight, man. Like I said, I'm just pleased we weren't going to go out like this. Great performance. To hold the Pacers to only 94 points is a true domination, wire to wire. Second chance points, 13-7. Fast break points were very even. Points in the paint. The Knicks truly dominant, fam. Got that rock moving as well. 22 assists. We beat Indiana with assists tonight. 10 steals. Shot 50% from the field as well. Not great from downtown, but we got enough from our guys with points in the paint. DeLon Wright was great tonight. Mitchell Robinson too. Some fantastic defensive sequences to dominate this one. When the Pacers aren't aggressive, I mean, a lot's going to be said about their performance tonight. They weren't aggressive enough. They're probably thinking like, look, we've got enough runway to close the Knicks out back in Indianapolis. However, it's really one game now, and if the Knicks can really show up and play their best game, anything can happen. SF Wisdom, Vaughn, salute, Prezi, Rye, John, what's good? Lily Phillips says, game shows when the Knicks are focused, they are capable of playing Team D. Yeah, good adjustment. They obviously were switching a lot tighter. They were, weary of Halliburton getting downhill, closing off the drives. Mikal Bridges was a lot better, I thought, defensively. Got to give him his flowers. It was a little timid offensively at times, but he hit some big shots from the mid-range. But yeah, 100%. I think they had a day to think about it. I mean, desperation is a catalyst. When you lose, you go home. It's amazing what happens. And, might this be what the Knicks need to get them to stay focused? It's going to take a hell of a effort to beat Indiana 3 games in a row, but you just got to take it game at a time. Work them down. I think the Thibodeau's expanded rotation is really helping with Landry Shamet, DeLon Wright, key minutes. Still some questionable rotations at times, getting Hart in there instead of Deuce when he was turning it over. But Hart came correct, I think, late in the ball game. But our 3-point defense was phenomenal. Benedict Mathurin was the only pacer tonight to score 20 plus. Everyone else in the teens or less. Halliburton, we looked at his stats earlier. He just was not aggressive. And if it does get back to MSG Game 7, right, it's going to be a mountain to climb for Indiana in that one with a healthy New York Knicks this time. But we have to get through Game 6. We have to get through Game 6 first. And obviously Indiana earned the right to close it out at home right now. They lead 3-2. I saw the chat talk about earlier. Game 1. Shez V says, man, that Game 1 loss really hurts now. It is. We just got to put it in the rear view. Go out and make amends. Win the next 2. John says, play McBride more, less Hart. Yep. Agree. I think there were some moments. Hart looked a little bit tentative to drive and finish. But look, got to give Pacers credit that, 10 blocks, 7 blocks tonight. They got Miles Turner. He does send a lot of those shots back. Mikal Bridges, man, had a layup sent back by Miles Turner as well. But what can you say about Karl Anthony Towns? Questionable before tonight. I thought, obviously, the cap was the cap. And Captain Clutch showed up early this time and was aggressive. I thought his navigation of the full court pressure was probably his best effort tonight. That's a student of the game, ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to Jalen Brunson, right? Lay off his back. It's ridiculous, some of the discourse we've been receiving on Jalen Brunson. Yeah, we all know his shortcomings defensively, but it's starting to creep into this narrative that the Knicks were better with Brunson on the bench. Defensively, yes. Offensively, we would not be where we are without Jalen Brunson. So let's be real. We would not be within... how many games are we now? 6 games. We're within 6 wins, ladies and gentlemen, of an NBA championship. 6 wins away. We wouldn't be here without Jalen Brunson, right? So let's keep things in perspective. Let Tibbs coach how he needs to coach. Get these lineups staggered so that we can play good defense and, of course, good offense as well. A well-balanced diet, a steady diet of good offense and good defense. But Brunson tonight, his navigation of the full court pressure, getting downhill. I mean, it was a clinic tonight. He was torching them early. Efficiency, only 18 shots with 32 points, plus 18 as well. And for anyone that says he's a free throw merchant, 4 free throws for an entire game, man. All NBA second team player puts up 32 points and only has 4 free throws, right? Right. Look at that. SGA, second team All D, multiple time All Star Jalen Brunson, man, let his field goal shooting do the talking tonight. But 4 of 7 as well from downtown was big time in this one. Karl Anthony Towns next up, 10 of 20, questionable before tonight. 13 grown man rebounds. Got 3 assists as well. 24 points, team high, plus 26. Rick Carlisle continues to guard him with Miles Turner, and we continue to dominate that matchup, right? Regardless what happens in the next game or two, the Knicks will have won that matchup because Karl Anthony Towns has been dominating, and they have to switch it up. But it's going to throw all their rotations off. If they're going to put Siakam on Cat, then they've got to get Turner out of the game, right? So that's an advantage that the Knicks haven't capitalized enough. And I think if Thibodeau sticks around, we'll talk about that. Whatever happens in the future, if it's a new coach or not, we have to utilize Karl Anthony Towns better offensively. But obviously it's a lot easier when he's been guarded by another big man. He was taking him to the hole all night. And I'm just proud of Cat. You know, he showed a lot of fight tonight. He showed that he's got some grit despite the knee issues. And here we go, baby. These guys can become heroes. I think it'll be Karl Anthony Towns' soundbite. If the Knicks can prevail against all odds, Cat said, right, we don't want to be remembered from history. We want to make history, ladies and gentlemen, or something to that regard. I'm paraphrasing. Correct me if I'm wrong. But if the Knicks win this series, Karl Anthony Towns' words, we want to make history with this situation. And that these guys don't look like they want to go home, man. We don't want to go home yet. We ain't ready to turn the lights off, right? We here. Let's put all the pressure on Indiana. And I like this desperation situation because if the Knicks feel like they have a game to play with, that you know they're not going to come with that maximum intensity. But when it's win or go home, they bring that intensity. They bring it. Obviously, the home crowd helps, but that'll be a fitting way to close the series out if we can get to that. But first, we got to go through our demons, and we got to win another game on the road, fam, with an NBA Finals at stake. Congrats to Oklahoma. Wrapped it up in 5. Commiserations to Dante, Julius Randle. The New York Knicks are the last 3 teams standing. Ladies and gentlemen, let's see some thumbs up and some hype in the chat. The New York Knicks are the final 3 teams remaining, and we've got 2 more ball games to play, hopefully. Connor T, shout out. Michael Drake. Connor says Knicks in 7. Michael says Jalen Brunson balled out from the beginning. Vaughn says Shamet's defense is tough. You know what, man? Vaughn as well. This is why the MSG crowd, man, it's special. You know, serenading Landry Shamet. Think of what that would mean to him and why players want to come here and play. You know, role player getting his name serenaded in an Eastern Conference Finals game, but he rewarded us, and we salute and we show love, appreciation for players that give it their all, leave it all out there, right? His intensity defensively on TJ McConnell, man, it was awesome to see under the basket, locking down TJ, something that we haven't been able to do. Buzzer beater, let's go. Money time. David, great to see you. This was a good game, CT. I wish they could play like this every game. I think that's That's so true. It's something I've been thinking all season. You've been thinking all season. We've been thinking all season. I just don't know what it is. But when it comes to desperation, backs to the wall, like they just know how to bring it. Um, Game 4 against Boston will live forever in my memory. Game 6 against Boston will live forever in your memory. Tonight will forever live as well. Hopefully, we got more to come. But tonight, we weren't ready to go home. It wasn't one of those like 1 point victories, squeak it out. No, this was we're letting you know you better win in Indiana, otherwise it's gonna be bedlam. It's gonna be bedlam in the Garden come a game 7, fam. I mean, the celebrity upon celebrity is already stacking up right now. I'm seeing people in the front row I haven't seen in a minute. John says this ain't over. It certainly ain't. It certainly ain't. We can win on the road. We've shown it. Yeah, I want to talk a lot about Game 6 tonight as well. What are the keys? Getting off to a fast start as well. Tonight, we need to do what we did, in Game 6. Hit some shots. You got to hit shots early. Even if Indiana are effective and they're running and gunning and, they're going to come like a bat out of hell. However, if the Knicks can hit shots and stay in the game early in Game 6 and ruffle some feathers, that's my theme. Let's ruffle some feathers over there. Hopefully the referees swallow the whistle. I'd love to see a really physical Game 6. I think that will play into our hands, If they allow a little bit more physicality, we can play more aggressive defensively. But we got to come up on the 3-point line like we did tonight. Johnny says Pacers played poopy. Big Dave, what's up? All the pressure is on the Pacers in Game 6. They don't want any part to play in Game 7. I mean, I feel like they've got mental toughness as well. Indiana have responded. They haven't lost 2 games all postseason. However, we're the ones to do it. We're the ones to give them that back-to-back defeat. Hopefully triple back-to-back defeats. And we're going to have to bring our A game. But, it's the beauty of the situation in a way. I know it's not in our favor. But for me personally, an old school diehard, the beauty is in the challenge because it's win or go home. And I think that's going to bring the best out of our guys. I mean, Jalen Brunson, he's built for this. What can you say? He's shown it all throughout his career. Tonight again. I know last year Game 7 left a sour taste, but we all know what happened, guys. The team was just absolutely gassed. Like, they were out on their feet. Bodies were piling up. We weren't able to finish past the finish line last year. But if we can get to a Game 7 this year, I think we will see something like we saw tonight. A barnstorming finish. And look, we're learning a lot more. I mentioned the data last show, and we're not ready to talk about off-season yet. But we're learning a lot more about our guys. Another night, Karl-Anthony Towns stepped up in adversity, dealing with issues, 17 points, 10 rebounds, 7 of 11 at the half. Was on pace for a 30-20 game. Obviously, foul trouble hurt him, but he finished with 24 and 13. Not too shabby, with 3 dimes as well, fam. Marty, what's good? Let's go, Knicks. Rye says Spike dressed like an Allen coming tonight. Jazzman, I love the bench. Yeah, this was a total team effort, and we want to shout out the collective. DeLon Wright, man, little out of control. Hopefully he can hit those layups, but you see the effort. I mean, 3 assists, a steal from DeLon Wright in 9 minutes, quality minutes, +4. Quality minutes from Landry Shamet. 2 of 3, 1 of 2 from downtown. I mean, we are going to rue if we do not win this series. Thibodeau, the fans will rue the opportunity that we didn't play Landry Shamet earlier. Campaign gave us some good moments this season, but he's kind of run out of gas. But Landry Shamet's fresh right now, and he's peaking. Missed most of the season, dislocated shoulder. He rehabilitated. The team stayed loyal, got him back on the team, had a few ups and downs, but for the most part, when he's had an opportunity, he's played solid, both sides. I think there was a bad stretch where he just couldn't buy a shot, but he seems to corrected that. He seems to be in a rhythm now, and he's hitting shots. He's taken dudes off the dribble. You see Deuce, big shot from Deuce in that one as well. Really proud of Deuce. I thought he ran the show solid with DeLon Wright. That's another point, guys. When Deuce was playing with Campaign, those guys just didn't gel. But Deuce McBride with DeLon Wright, those guys are gelling. One guy's a pass first, the other guy, Miles McBride, Deuce, can look for his shot. And 2 of 4, 100% from downtown with the 1-3, 5 points with Deuce, 2 dimes, gave us an offensive rebound as well. So we continue moving, man. Indiana have 2 wins at MSG. We have 1 win in Indiana and a win at MSG. Let's go to Indiana and get 2 wins, fam. Let's go to Indiana and get 2 wins and bring this thing back. What's good, CJ? Good morning. Great to see you. I think the keys to Game 6, guys, is also going to come down to the pick and roll defense. We saw tonight the communication was on point, and most of the time when these guys have a bad performance, they correct that. Now the challenge is going to be replicating and duplicating back-to-back great defensive performances. Remember Game 4 against Boston? We ran riot late, and we went over to Boston though and laid an egg, and then we came back and finished them off. There's no time for let-ups, no more, guys. We're out of runway. We literally got runway for 2 more wins. Let's capitalize. Let's get it. Look at the watch party buzzing in New York City, and everyone joining us worldwide. Salute to Knicks Nation and the diehards. Let's do this. Let's make history. Only 13 teams have come back from 3-1 down. And I tell you what, yesterday, I was feeling a lot of disrespect because a lot of people were already talking about, Indiana, Oklahoma, talking about how that final series is going to play out. Bookmakers, even in my local area, you could already bet on the NBA Finals between Indiana and Oklahoma. Like, whoa, not yet. Let's see Game 6, because I felt like tonight was basically, I felt confident. So it is going to come down to a Game 6, but I just feel like people were getting ahead of themselves a little bit, discounting these New York Knicks. Respecting the competitiveness of both of these 2 teams. I mean, it's been a very even series. If the Knicks had taken care of Game 1, the series would be 3-2 New York Knicks. The series would be 3-2 New York Knicks if the Knicks had won Game 1. And, a lot of disrespect. But obviously both teams have had their moments. Both teams deserve to still be in with a shot. And until the lights go out, until the fat lady sings, we're going to keep going, man. We're going to keep playing. Next possession. Sharon McLean, great to see you, says, Sharmat kicked some ass tonight. He certainly did, man. I love seeing him D up TJ McConnell. Dermot, let's go. So these stats tonight, holding Indiana to 33%, that's key. 40% from the field. Indiana weren't aggressive tonight. We've seen this a lot from Halliburton. He has a phenomenal game. And man, did he have a phenomenal game in Game 4. And the Knicks were really bad defensively. But you correct both sides. And Halliburton's timidness with the Knicks defense tonight. And it was domination as the Knicks picked him up. Mikal Bridges deserves a lot of props as well. And before we bring up the first grade, look at this graphic, wire to wire. how sweet it is, ladies and gentlemen. No yellow in this one. No lead. 0 seconds in the lead tonight. Wire to wire victory, man. I got to look at the stats, but this might be the first or the second. If it's not the first, it's definitely the second game this postseason where the Knicks have led wire to wire. I think game 6. I think game 6 against Boston was wire to wire. So this might just be the second time all postseason that the New York Knicks have led after 1 quarter, 2, 3, and the final. The biggest lead, 22 points, was tonight as well. So the Knicks finally got their big win at home, man. We shouldn't have dropped game 1, and we definitely shouldn't have dropped game 2 as well. Michael Drake says 2 more wins to the finals. I'm looking at 6 more wins, baby. This is the closest we've been, regardless of how the series goes. We haven't been 6 wins of an NBA championship since going back since the 1999, fam. Obviously, the NBA Finals against San Antonio. Juan says, I didn't like how Tibbs didn't play Mitch or Shamet in the 4th, but a win is a win, 1 game at a time. Yeah, I agree. I think that's a lot of opinion shared, right now. I think he was, scared. He was rattled about the Hacker Mitch situation. But look, Mitch is going to be more fresh as well. So I think there's a silver lining in that. Yeah, Tibbs is just so loyal to his guys, to a fault, and he's done it his whole career, man. I said last show, Elfrid Payton, Alec Burks, Keith Bogans, Luol Dengs, all those guys with Chicago as well. Tibbs ain't going to switch things up too much late in the game. I think he'll tinker with the starting lineup just to get some people off his back. But I think we all know how much he loves Josh Hart, man. And I think that's why the players rock with Tibbs. For better, for worse, he's loyal to them. And in return, they're going to be loyal to him as well. Josh Hart turned it over in a bad stretch, finished with 3 turnovers, but still played 34 minutes. Mitchell Robinson only played 19 tonight. Was a perfect 100% from the field. Got a 6 rebounds as well. Was a +3. Was Mitchie. And so let's give out the first 2 grades. The combination, Karl Anthony Towns, Jalen Brunson, the captain, the first duo since Shaq and Kobe to have 20 points in the first 5 games of the conference finals, fam. That is our core, guys. We'll figure it out around those guys, but we'll talk a lot about it in the off season. However, you don't shake up. In my opinion, you don't shake up those 2 guys. There's plenty of things to play out and things you can maneuver around those guys. You can stagger minutes, stagger lineups, all of those things. But there's a reason. Like I said, we got this far, and you got to respect these guys, especially Cat in his first year as a Knick, Brunson in his 3rd year, and we're the closest to an NBA chip since 1999. You build on this, you build around that, and we should be winning this series. We should be winning this series. I know everybody was down after game 4, sorry, but it was a typical road game where the team responded. Indiana responded after a letdown game 3, and it was typical response. Tonight was our response, and that's how a playoff series plays out. There's too many overreactions right now, game to game. Trade this guy. You can't play Brunson. I'm even seeing trade rumors and all of those just stupidity right now. We're the final 3 teams left in the NBA, and we haven't even maximized the roster yet. We haven't maximized the lineups. You see that tonight. and you see what we can do, how dangerous we can be. DeLon Wright should have been playing. Landry Shamet should have been playing. Great ball pressure from those guys. And DeLon Wright is a steady veteran point guard. I think Minnesota really missed the guy like a DeLon Wright. You know, in the Oklahoma series, just another guy that can handle the rock, get into sets, use his size and length, and the ability to get into the passing lanes, right? So we're going to dial up these game balls and the first two grades of the evening. Let's go. Let's go right now. Obviously, the foul trouble with Cat plays a factor, but I mean, he was just a demon on the offensive side, capitalizing and taking advantage of his matchups. And Jalen Brunson was also phenomenal too. And so I'm going to bring up their two grades. Not a perfect performance from either, but a great performance, A- from the captain and the big bodega, 2 game balls for those two leaders, stepping up and handling their business on the offensive side. And look, I see a lot of commentary right now that the Knicks should be leading this series. They have the two of the best 3 players in the series, and we do. When it comes to that, we have ourselves to blame. I feel like a self-inflicted wound if we don't win this series, but there's still belief. There's still 2 more games potentially, and if those two can continue to play like they did tonight, I mean, man, it's going to be exciting. You know, you see Halliburton couldn't string together 2 good performances and a big letdown for them in Indiana, right? So I saw this. Yes, I want to bring it up. I know he trolls a lot of the time, and I troll back, but Skip Bayless is on the money with this one. Skip says, here's what emerging in this series. The Pacers obviously have the deeper team, but the Knicks have the 2 best players in Brunson and Cat. If those 2 keep up their Kobe Shaq string of 20 plus in game 6, you'd better believe the Knicks have a shot at a home game 7, baby. So with every game, you gain more confidence. With every win, you get more belief as well. Maybe Indiana crack under some pressure. Time will tell. But I think the Knicks' defensive intensity is going to be lit in Indiana. And I think if Indiana beat us in game 6, they're just going to have to make a lot of tough shots. Because the Knicks know, season on the line, win in Indiana, and all bets are off. El Tango, salute Jet Life for life. Let's go. AJ, let's go. AJ says now the pressure is on the Pacers to close us out, knowing that the Knicks not going out without a fight. Most def. I feel like this series is so even. I feel like it deserves a game 7, you know. To Indiana's credit, you know, they found a way to somehow pull out 2 wins at MSG. We have to find a way to pull out a second win in Indiana. And if we do, we'll be history makers, because no one else, I don't think since January, nobody's been able to beat Indiana back to back. You know, fam, they've been so good since January. If the Knicks can defeat Indiana back to back 3 times, you know, the Knicks will have deserved a spot in the NBA Finals. Zach Lowe says, and here come the probability charts, right? The win probabilities now get a little bit more in our favor, 3-2. That's why you have to play the games. You can't count for an injury. You can't count for a hot shooting night. You can't count for a close game down the stretch, heroic shot. Anything can happen right now, and we need to be the boogeyman heading into Indiana tonight. You know, their butt cheeks are going to get a little bit tighter after tonight, just after Boston came out in game 5, right? And you know the media had a field day on the Knicks saying, look, you better win game 6. And right now, the pressure is going to be on Indiana. Tyrese was smiling, walking off the floor. Vaughn says, focus, gang. We have 48 more minutes. We didn't come this far just to come this far. All playoffs, New York Knicks have been tough on the road. History, the odds say the New York Knicks don't win Game 6. A 4% chance. Yeah, we want to make history. Jazzman says, DeLon Wright. Look, posed, long arms, no panic in him. Salute to DeLon Wright. Yeah, it's in the DNA, fam. Younger brother of Darrell Wright. You know, shout out to the OGs. We had Darrell Wright, DeLon Wright. It's in the family as well. Nice. There's finally screen being set up. Salute to all the brothers and sisters. What's good? Nice. Great to see you. You know, legacy. This is legacy time for Halliburton, for Kat, for Jalen Brunson, of course, for Tom Thibodeau, for Rick Carlisle. I mean, man, game 6 is going to be box office, and you know, TNT got to be licking their lips right now because obviously the show still goes on. The lights don't come off yet. Could Inside the NBA finish with a Game 7 back at Madison Square Garden, man, for the rights to make the NBA Finals? Now, I mentioned the NBA Finals. The schedule is set. The finals start on Thursday. And so if this thing goes 7, there's only going to be 2 days to rest before for either of these teams. And you know, Oklahoma's sitting there right now saying, yeah, let's keep this series going, man. Let's keep things going right now. Obviously, I do think Oklahoma should be the favorite, whoever gets through this series. But I don't think it's going to be as straightforward as some people suggest. I think styles make fights. And most of us sat here saying, yeah, you know, the New York Knicks will have what it takes. We should get through Indiana straightforward. And Indiana probably saying the same thing. And here we are. It's coming down to a Game 6, right? I think both strengths and weaknesses match up with these two teams. But I think either of these teams in this series can give problems to Oklahoma. They're a very young team. Closing it out in an NBA Finals ain't going to be easy, right? It's going to be physical. We'll see how it plays out. Cardiac says 6 more dubs. Knicks won't lose a Game 6 in this entire playoff run. Knicks need another Game 6 like their last Game 6. You know, what I've learned over the last 3 years is whenever you go back to the road arena for the 3rd time in the series, you generally have the best shot. You generally have the best shot to win, actually. It don't matter what series, it don't matter who it is. 3rd crack. You know, there's that saying, 3rd time's a charm, 3rd time's lucky. But also, it's in basically the comfortability, familiarity, you know. Don't forget, we just spent the last week in Indiana. Now, the players are going to know what to expect. They know the routine, the hotel, the arena, the crowd. Quick trip to New York. Now we're back to Indiana. And I don't think our players are going to be, they're not going to be nervous. They're not going to be shook. It's just going to come down to Indiana get off to a hot start, and can the Knicks counter? You know, can the Knicks weather the storm early? If any indication is to go by, most of these games should be close. You know, I know tonight the Knicks had the juice, but I'm going to expect that the New York Knicks will be able to stay in it. Indiana, look, the arena is going to be insane, right? First elimination game in Indiana to make the NBA Finals. I mean, if these guys on screen right now, they're going to have to play their best game together, I think, to keep this series going. And they're capable. Absolutely. Let's give out the next grade and keep shouting you guys out. Smash that like button. You've got the Knicks streets buzzing. Mitchell Robinson, want to shout him out? Thibodeau made the call to keep Mitchell Robinson in the starting lineup for the 3rd consecutive game, although the minutes didn't match up. And so I feel like it was a little bit harsh on Mitch. He should have played, late in the ball game, but Thibodeau went with his tried and tested. But the Hacker Mitch situation came into effect for a very meaningful stretch for the first time this series. He missed both free throws. Carlisle was searching. He was searching for an answer. It's slowed the Knicks down a little bit, but obviously it slows Indiana down as well. But they weren't able to run tonight. And so, but Mitch was very impactful, got off to a good start. Couldn't get as many offensive boards, so Indiana are adjusting. They're getting multiple bodies on him. Tony Bradley left this game with a strained hip as well. He might be in doubt. He might be in doubt for game 6, Tony Bradley. And so up comes the next big, which is basically a guy that struggled, Thomas Bryant, throughout the series. Let's see what he does. But I think the Pacers are just going to go small, man. They're just going to say, look, this is Pacer basketball. Go Mitch again, and we're just going to try to run you out of the gym. So it could go either way, man. Game 6, we did not get off to a very good start last game. It's going to be interesting to see if he adapts and Thibodeau adjusts for the next game. Because I think if Bradley's, in doubt, and obviously they don't want to play Thomas Bryant too much. They got Siakam, they got Turner. They're just going to play small a lot more and try to run. Maybe they do play Hacker Mitch a lot more as well. Carlisle does reach into his bag, guys. He's got a very deep bag of gamesmanship. Does Rick Carlisle? I mean, talking about all sorts of things throughout the series. He's a very experienced, savvy coach. I almost forgot when I saw him talking with Brunson. I almost forgot that Rick Carlisle was Brunson's coach back in Dallas. When Jalen Brunson was drafted, Rick Carlisle was his coach. So I mean, he knows the man as well as anybody. It was funny to see those two go back and forth on the sideline. It looked like some jokes were had back and forth. Yeah, Rick Carlisle got that gamesmanship. I think he's going to keep up the Hacker Mitch in game 6. Look, I would start. I know it worked out well tonight, but on the road is a different beast. I would start Deuce McBride personally, but Thibodeau just doesn't seem to want to do that. For size reasons. He talked about it post game in game 4. He's worried about rebounding. But guess what, Tibbs? If you're constantly picking the ball out of the net from the Pacers basket, you're not going to be able to get a rebound. It's about getting stops. So put Deuce McBride in the starting lineup. You've got DeLon Wright and you've got Shamet that can back him up. We've got guard help. Now, we don't have to worry about campaign and those minutes backing up Jalen. And so let us know what you think. Would you start Mitchie in game 6, knowing that it was a disaster in game 4? Joseph says, yeah, Halliburton choked this. Knicks in 7. I just want this series to go 7 for obvious reasons, but it deserves to go 7, man. The Knicks threw away game 1. I can't have this series end on that, man. Winner takes all, game 7, roll the ball out. But obviously Pacer Nation is going to be hoping like hell they close us out in the next one. And look, a lot of people will talk about game 1, but look, we had the chance to respond and win game 2, and all would have been correct, because we won in Indiana, but we blew game 2 as well. And so that sucks, but we're figuring things out. Tibbs has been a bit slow to adapt, and ultimately that might cost him his job. People talking about, Thibodeau's future, and it will be under the microscope, whatever happens. I think however way this series ends, Thibodeau and his future will still be in the spotlight. He's shown a willingness to adapt in certain areas, change the starting lineup, etc., but he's still stubborn. He's an old school stubborn man, and he still weren't able to adjust the minutes allocation accordingly, you know, starting lineups aside. Um, and so without further ado, Mitchell Robinson's grade. Um, as I said, guys, I would start Deuce on the road because the Pacers' only way to beat us is in the open court. Half court, it's no debate. Not even a Pacer fan can debate that the Knicks are a better half court team. And the pathway for Indiana to win is in the open court. And tonight, the Knicks made them look average with 94 points when they can't get out and run. And so you got to adjust, Thibodeau. You got to adjust. They're going to play fast. They're going to play small. And I hope he can pull an okey doke because I think Carlisle will expect Thibodeau to do the same. He'll expect him to keep Mitchell Robinson in the starting lineup, but he has the chance to do an okey doke, I think, and change it up and keep him guessing. So Mitchell Robinson, I'll give him a B plus. Excellent in his minutes. That possession, man, where he forced the turnover on Miles Turner on the sideline. That's smart. Using the sideline as a man, just like Clyde talks about, big time. AJ says Carlisle crying like a baby, wanting that flagrant from Deuce. Yes, glad he lost that challenge since he wants to hack a Mitch. Carlisle's lost it a little bit with the 2 challenge calls. The last 2 challenge calls Carlisle has lost. But yeah, that was never a flagrant. It was basically, yeah, he was coming from behind, but he did a good job, a safe job of wrapping Siakam up. It wasn't some dangerous follow through. It wasn't heavy with heavy contact and all of that. But yeah, Cat was dominant with the jump hook. JB looked spry. He looked fresh, especially navigating the full court pressure. Now let's talk about Mikal Bridges, right? An improvement from the last game. Still some of the things that we don't like in terms of shying away from the contact under the basket, missing some bunnies. But the good tonight from Mikal, he was very solid at getting his open shot off the dribble, mid-range, hit some timely shots as well. Unfortunately, he can't get the 3 ball to go down. And that's something that the Knicks have to really look at in the offseason. Whether you take Hart out of the starting lineup, you move Mikal to the 3, and you bring in another shooting guard. Because Mikal Bridges is solid from below the break, the corners, but he just simply can't get a 3 to go down above the break. And you need to win a chip. I think you need more, above the break 3 shooting. But he finished plus 13, 5 assists from Bridges tonight, 12 points, tidy. But he's got to hit those threes. The Knicks were 27% from downtown. That's not going to cut it in Indiana. We're going to have to shoot 35% or more because we're not going to be getting into the paint with the crowd, missed layups and blocks turning into fast break buckets the other way. We have to be very careful in taking care of the rock in Game 6, right? We are going to have to shoot well from downtown, in my opinion. Karl-Anthony Towns got loose, got 4 threes up tonight. OG got 7 up. We're just going to have to do a better job at knocking those down. But for Bridges, salute Krillians, what's good? SF says, do you think Bryant covering Bradley Game 6 will give us an edge? Yeah, I think it will. I think Bradley's been okay. Bryant's been a negative. But I think Carlisle might just scrap that, fam. I think they're just going to try to run early. And if Mitchell Robinson's dominating the glass, then Carlisle will adjust to that. But Carlisle doesn't want to shake up his identity before the Knicks. He doesn't want to make the Knicks have him change his identity. I think they're going to try to play small and try to get out and run. I would put Deuce and I would get Karl Anthony Towns at the 5 on Miles Turner. Because you see tonight, man, Cat's cooked Turner this whole series, and that's the matchup. That's the matchup we need to go to, man. I need Brunson to feed Cat down low as well. But for tonight, I'm going to give Bridges his grade. I thought he was really solid defensively, and just okay offensively. Hit some timely shots, so a better performance tonight. Still questionable decision making under the basket, fading away. He got blocked once with Turner, where he didn't go up aggressive and slam it down. He just doesn't have that lift, or he's just playing within himself because he doesn't want to get hurt. We'll talk about that more later for another day. But the Iron Man Mikal Bridges sort of narrative streak, it's obviously something that's very important to him. It always seems to get emphasized, but he definitely plays like that. He doesn't want to get contact. At the end of the day, it might cost us. Game 6, you got to go. You got to go strong. Got to go to the basket. Get a foul. It might come down to a final play. Yeah, the fadeaways look nice. He seems to be comfortable taking those mid-range fadeaways. The thing is, when they're not going down, it's a transition the other way because he's sort of off balance and he's slow to get back as well. So we'll see what the future holds, man. Maybe he's one of the heroes like he was against Boston and helps us get a critical stop. One thing I can say in Mikal Bridges' favor is that when the stakes are the highest, so far he has played his best. When it's basically do or die, and you have to make a play. Mikal Bridges has stepped up. Late in ball games. You look at Game 4 against Boston at MSG, where he took over offensively, didn't let the Knicks lose the lead. And then you obviously see Game 1, Game 2 in Boston with the clutch steals as well. Let's hope these Villanova boys can get it done on the road and bring this thing back for the crowd in Game 7. David agrees. We need the Bridges game, Game 6. Yep. To his credit, and a lot of these Villanova boys, they respond, when they have a down performance, like Brunson especially. But, we need what we got from Bridges from the field, but we need some threes to go down as well. And we need solid defense like he played, tonight. Buzzer Beater says, I cringe when I think about how many games we could have won if Thibodeau had played more of the guys. He's slow to adjust, in that regard. It's because of a couple of things. He's very loyal to the players, and he just hates adjusting too much because, look, this is a prideful guy. He's old school. He watches hours of film, and whatever he feels like is the best way to win, he feels that's the best way. But when he is faced with the humbling notion that that might not be the best way, he's slow to adjust. Where coaches just need to be adaptable. There's nothing wrong with saying, all right, I tried this, it didn't work, I need to quickly pivot. But Thibodeau doesn't think like that. He thinks like, I watched film and I came to this conclusion, and these guys just have to do it better. These guys just have to push the play better button. But sometimes, as we see now, it ain't always the case. The other coach is also doing a good job of, trying to get at your weakness. And tonight we adjusted. Game 3 we adjusted. And so far, going to DeLon Wright, Landry Shamet has been big time. Also, it would help with the minutes. It hasn't got lost on me, guys, that we are healthy. Yes, guys are probably fully gassed and tired and all of that. That's to be expected. We are in the Eastern Conference Finals. but we have got a little bit lucky with health, right? OG's healthy, Cat is healthy, Mitchell Robinson healthy, McCall, Hart, Brunson, Deuce, everybody's healthy right now. But if Tibbs was playing DeLon Wright, Landry Shamet, Precious Achua a bit earlier in the postseason, I think it would have helped us out even more. You know. Next up, OG Anunoby. Man, rough night offensively from OG. 3 of 14. Kind of didn't feel that way to me. I know he probably missed a couple of bunnies at the rim from memory. But he gave us four rebounds, 2 offensive, a plus 15 still, 3 steals, and 11 points from OG Anunoby. Only played 33 minutes, so that's good. McCall only played 33. Brunson only played 33. Cat 35. Mitchell Robinson 19. So I think that is obviously going to help us out. And we're going to talk about the bench in a minute, with Shamet getting 14. DeLon Wright getting 9 big minutes. Those are big minutes to keep our other guys' minutes down. And I think we could see a huge bounce back from OG Anunoby. 33 minutes tonight, that's going to be a major factor coming game 6 as well. These guys should be ready and able to put in a big game for the next one. But yeah, both sides, OG Anunoby, good defense, couldn't buy a bucket. But I do think he deserves similar praise to McCall for the defensive effort tonight. Holding Indiana to 94 points, man, is unbelievable. We blitzed them. Tonight was just a wire-to-wire domination. And look, Indiana didn't quit for a period. I think the Knicks kind of let them hang around a little bit with their sloppy turnovers. The Knicks should have ended this game in the third quarter. But we let the Pacers sort of stick around 14, 13, 15. And then I think it was a big and one. And Hart started to make some layups. So that is it. Going to bring up the grain for Thibodeau in a second. Continue to shout you guys out. Smash that like button. The Knicks streets are buzzing. Michael says, I agree. Aggressive game 6 in Indy might be key. Stanley says Tibbs very stubborn and prefers to go with a shorter rotation. Yeah, guys that he trusts, the circle of trust with Tibbs. Freeway Hustler 21. What's good? The problem is he still plays Hart way too many minutes. He sits everyone but him. He's playing like doo-doo. 100%. I think Hart is that guy that you see comes up with big plays late in games, but I don't know what it is with Hart the last 2 games. I think the pressure has kind of got to him a little bit, When guys are playing off him and the shot's not going down, I feel like he's starting to second guess a lot of what he's doing. Hart is more of the off-ball guy, cutting, crashing the glass. He doesn't need to be playing more than 30 minutes. Mitchell Robinson needs to play more. But also, Mitchell Robinson can control his fate, his destiny, I feel. If there was no Hacker Mitch and Mitchell Robinson could come back next season and hit free throws, then he should see more time. He should see more minutes. I think Thibodeau was just rattled by the Hacker Mitch situation, but also his love of Hart too. So Thibodeau's grade, let's dial it up. Wire-to-wire victory from the New York Knicks, but still some questionable decisions from Tibbs. Knowing last game, I probably would have still started Deuce tonight, but look, it didn't hurt us. Great start from the guys. The guys were ready. Some stubborn decisions from Tibbs, but a wire-to-wire victory. I'll give Tibbs a B. But hopefully it doesn't come back to hurt us, and hopefully we can win this series. But yeah, a lot of talking points around the future of the coaching situation and not maximizing the squad. You see DeLon Wright, you see Precious tonight coming in for a key stretch. You see Landry Shamet as well. I thought Thibodeau has been a bit too loyal to campaign, if I'm being honest right now. Most people agree. Um, One thing I've been very critical of Thibodeau this season is the fact that once Brunson came back from injury, Brunson missed the 15 straight games um, with the month off, and DeLon Wright stepped in and gave us great minutes as a starter. And then when JB got back, DeLon Wright went back to out of the rotation. And I thought that would have been a perfect opportunity to just reward him. You got to reward a player for their good work. And I don't think Cameron Payne really needed to stay in the rotation once Jalen Brunson returned from injury. But that was a bad decision from Thibodeau. DeLon Wright could have been a demon for us all this time right now. He would have been awesome in that Detroit series. He definitely would have been a factor in the Boston series, but we got through it. And Tibbs is adjusted now. Is it going to be too little too late? We're going to find out, man. We've got one more to go until we even it up. It's a must-win game. Can we stave off elimination? This is one of the grittiest, most relentless teams I've seen. The Knicks won't want to go out like this. Let's see what happens. I'm excited, man. I'm hyped. TNT's hype for this series to keep going. Krillian says, facts, we need OG to go off game 6. Yeah, OG, I need the physicality. I need him finishing, man, like a demon, like Philadelphia last season. I need him posterizing some dudes in Indiana, man. Posterize Benedict Mathurin. Posterize Siakam, man. Come into that building like a grown man and say, you know what, Siakam, we used to be teammates, but this is where I drop you off right now on national TV. I'm the better Raptor. Let's see what happens, man. Only Mathurin tonight was in the 20s. Every other player was sorry for the Pacers, including Siakam. Plus minus Mitchie. Big time. Buzzer says we need Wingstop to have a big game. Definitely. I think defensively more so, but we need every guy to really be active in game 6, all hands on deck. As every game goes by, like I said, I think they'll be more confident. DeLon Wright been in the rotation now, 3 games in a row. I think he'll know what to expect now in Indiana. He was a part of the big win in game 3. Shamet starting to hit some big threes. Let's get going. But as we talk about the bench now, Deuce McBride, Landry, DeLon, let's ring it up. Let's ring up the squad off the bench. And Hart. I keep forgetting that Hart's basically coming off the bench now, but still playing starters minutes. And our Precious as well. Got the big time and one. Precious stayed ready when his number was called. Denver Nuggets in the building. Great to see you. 1 game at a time, says Denver. Good game, Knicks. Hoping you guys can come back and win the series. Yep. I'm just curious as well, Denver. Let us know, who do you think has a better chance against Oklahoma? Whether it be the Pacers. I know you want the Knicks to get through. Who do you think has the better chance at stealing more games against the Thunder? Because you guys did a great job taking that one to 7. That could have gone either way. But Oklahoma look like they've stepped it up a notch, and Minnesota looked pretty sorry in that series, But I feel like, the Knicks have a second wind. Thibodeau expanding this rotation now, getting Deuce McBride in his preferred position, which is shooting guard off the bench together with DeLon Wright. He's able to be aggressive. And Landry Shamet playing off him as well. It just seems to be a lot better fit. Cameron Payne, like I said, he's helped us get this far. Had some big spots this season, but yeah, he should have been dropped off once Brunson returned from injury. DeLon Wright just more bigger, longer wingspan, more disruptive, and all of that. And so with that said, I want to shout out DeLon Wright first. His grade first up. Freeway says Knicks have the better chance. Denver agrees for sure. If Pacers, they will get swept by OKC. Yeah, you're going to have to execute in the half court against Oklahoma. They're not going to be able to run like crazy with Caruso, with Cason Wallace, with Lou Dort. I mean, Tyrese. He's going to be he's going to have a roadblock ahead of him, and especially look, Indiana will have to start the series on the road as well. If they can't get inroads in the first 2 games, it'll be a wrap. It'll be a wrap from them. The Knicks had one of their best performances of the season, actually, in Oklahoma, but they kind of collapsed late in the ball game. In their lone game in Oklahoma, they were actually leading at halftime. One of Mikal Bridges' most aggressive games as well, but that's a story for another day, because whoever gets through this series will have done what's necessary. I think Carlisle's still out coaching Thibodeau. So, Knicks Nation, if we don't get through this series, we'll have players to blame, the coach as well. Game 1 will be what stands out. But Thibodeau could have adjusted earlier in game 2, and he didn't. Carlisle has been adapting as the series goes, brought out Tony Bradley, throwing all sorts of things against the wall to see what sticks. But inevitably, he'll have to then, countermatch what the Knicks are doing. Mitchell Robinson is going to stay in the starting lineup, it looks like. And the Knicks are just going to rock with that and go big. The Pacers are kind of due for a poor shooting night. I know tonight, the Knicks sort of forced them to be a bit more timid. But in Indiana, they've shot really well for most of these games. Freeway Hustler says Knicks are a closer team to the Nuggets, and they gave them the most problems. I haven't seen what the season series played out with Indiana and Oklahoma, but I'm assuming Oklahoma swept them. Denver Nugget says, CT, do you think it'll be a boring finals if it's the Pacers and OKC? At least if it's Knicks and OKC, it will be a good series. Could go 7. I think it will be boring if Oklahoma just rock away with the first 2 games. That's going to be key. That's what got us to where we are now. The Knicks couldn't capitalize on their first 2. You got to win your first 2 at home. But yeah, I do think Oklahoma can be tested. They're not impenetrable. I think Minnesota are really lacking good point guard play. You see, Anthony Edwards, when he's the primary ball handler, facilitator, it's easy to scheme against that. One of the good adjustments the Knicks have made was playing Brunson off the ball tonight, and he's able to come around off the curl. He's able to get downhill. The screen setting and get him free is a bit easier than when he's on the ball. But yeah, Minnesota was just a really poor matchup, I think, for Oklahoma. But the Knicks can execute in the half court. I mean, I think out of the 2 teams remaining, the Knicks have the best player in the half court, which is Jalen Brunson. Oklahoma have amazing defenders as well, but I don't think they're going to be allow the physicality that they're allowing now. I do think that, Caruso or those guys, if they want to try to bully Brunson, they're going to pick up fouls. Right. The NBA is not going to allow, an all-star, all-NBA player to get beaten up by a bigger player, I think. So I think that'll be a major factor as well. Mario, what's up? Nick's going to win this on Saturday. Let's keep this thing going. Krillian says Pacers don't like. Right. And Shamit now. Yeah. Nye says, look how quick was Huck Porty with that pick and roll. Yes, baby. I love that. Great to see Huck Porty get his playoff basket. Eastern Conference Finals minutes as well. Big time. But DeLon Wright, Where were we? DeLon Wright stepped up. Number was called. He gets the B plus. Big time effort. Younger brother of Darrell Wright, and 32 years of age. I would like him to come back next season. I think that was a savvy pickup at the trade deadline, man. I went back and forth with some people online about how he would fit with the squad. I don't even know why people were underwhelmed. We gave away Jericho Sims, guys. I thought it was a decent pickup, right? I know people were expecting us to hopefully do something better at the trade deadline, but it was what the roster needed. You look at Deuce, he's not a primary facilitator. You look at, and he's a bit small as well. You look at Cameron Payne, he's a shoot first kind of guy. We were lacking another guard with defense, with size, and I know Tyler Kolek is in the mix. He deserved a shot, I think, over campaign as well. But Thibodeau does trust the extra size, and DeLon Wright is delivering, man. Hopefully, he can hit those layups. But the steals, the activity on defense, man, is amazing. It's dynamite. With his activity, ball pressure, and the way he was smartly navigating the screens, going under on TJ McConnell every single time, making sure that he was able to pressure and not get beat off the dribble as well. We've been missing this. And so, yeah, more frustrating that we haven't seen it earlier. But better late than never, fam. We've got 2 more ball games. Let's hopefully we can win them. Next up, Deuce McBride. 2 of 4 from the field, knocked down his open 3, gave us a rebound offensively, 2 assists, and 1 turnover. -3, Deuce McBride, 5 points. Obviously, defensively was solid. I think Deuce was in the ball game during a rough stretch when Thibodeau should have called a timeout earlier. A little bit of sloppiness from Hart and the other guys coming in, but 18 minutes from Deuce, that's solid. I need those minutes to go up a little bit, but it's a start. Wright's playing 9 minutes, that's good. Shamet with 14. Landry Shamet, 2 of 3, 1 of 2 from downtown, 5 points, +4. Got serenaded by the crowd. Activity off the chain. And he deserves his props and his feel-good moment, man. We broke the Landry Shamet curse and made it to the conference finals. Let's see how it plays out. But yeah, he's going to continue to get minutes, and he's been taking full advantage of those minutes. So I'm going to go A- for Landry Shamet, and I'm going to go a B for Deuce McBride. Precious Achua, solid B-, staying ready when his number was called. And for Josh Hart, ladies and gentlemen, I think he finished strongly, had some frustrating moments, but nevertheless, he helped us pull it out late. So I'll give Hart a B. Landry Shamet the A-, Deuce with a B. B- for the minutes with Precious stepping in. But DeLon Wright staying ready. And let's see what happens with him in the off season right now. If he can stay as a vet minimum guy, keep him around. Solid third string. Maybe you prioritize Kolek, but at least you've got some dual guard, point guard lineups with Deuce and him, with Kolek and him. Makes quality decisions with the basketball. Doesn't get sloppy. Doesn't get fancy. Doesn't try to make the highlight play. Just makes the right play. And that's what you need in these moments, man. We don't need, dudes getting crazy trying to play for a contract right now. Trying to play for an and one mixtape contract. Michael Drake says the Knicks must win game 6 and 7. Every game is must win now, baby. And I think that's what suits the squad. No complacency, right? You lose, you go home. We have to win 2. Indiana have to win one, but you take it one game at a time, fam. But yeah, my key adjustment for Game 6 would be to throw a wrench in the plans of Rick Carlisle, and I would go small. That's the way to beat Indiana. We need more guards on the court. I would take Mitch out of the starting lineup. Towns might get in foul trouble. In fact, Towns probably will get in foul trouble, ladies and gentlemen. They're going to put so much pressure on us. And you saw tonight, because he started Mitch and Cat together, and they went Hacker Mitch, Cat in foul trouble, we didn't have anybody else to go to except Precious. Now, on the road, I don't really know if I want to count on Precious. So to avoid that, I would keep Mitch off the bench, go smaller, get Deuce McBride out there for point of attack ball pressure, and try to slow them down in transition. Try to get out on the 3-point line, and that'll keep us in the game. There's only one game Indiana will blow us out, and that's if they get hot from downtown. We have to make sure they don't get those open looks, the drive and kicks as well. Buzzerbeater says, CT, do you think if we had TJ Warren, we wouldn't be in this mess? I don't think Tibbs would have been playing him. I think we could have used his skill set, fam. I think we could have used his skill set, definitely. Good wing size, 6'8". The shooter. We see what Landry Shamet's been able to do. I just don't think Tibbs would have been playing him. He likes the small rotation. It took facing elimination for Thibodeau to basically get desperate. And I think that's ultimately why he'll probably... I don't want to speculate right now. There's so much time to talk about it. Who knows, baby? We might be in the NBA Finals and all bets are off. But Thibodeau might be the last one laughing right now. And look, I'll owe Thibodeau. If Thibodeau can adjust, keep playing these expanded rotations, make the right calls, push the right buttons, and get us to the NBA Finals, then hats off. Hats off to him. One time might be a fluke. 2 series against Boston might have been, maybe they gave it to us, or whatever people want to argue. If you win a third playoff round, then you've done something right. And so let's hope this fairy tale keeps going, man. Let's hope the road keeps going, and let's keep playing, man. These guys are going to have to, stay in the game early, hit shots, defend way better than they did in Game 4, man. Hopefully they learn, and I don't know if the Pacers are going to be able to blow us out again in Game 4. It might just come down to another one of those, crazy, classics between the New York Knicks and the Indiana Pacers, right? An all-timer, right? We might have 2 more all-timers in this thing, right? Let's hope. Fingers crossed, right? But like I said, we'll have so much to talk about in the off-season because we've really learned a lot about our guys. I'm proud of the way Karl-Anthony Towns stepped up today. Still dealing with some boneheaded fouls, but you see the difference offensively. And I don't think there's any debate whether that was a beneficial trade. Julius Randle had his moments in different series, had some struggles against Oklahoma, but had some good moments as well. But you see that, one of the reasons why the Knicks did this trade, with that situation, Randall's free agency impending, Karl-Anthony Towns is dominant at his position, especially, half court, down low, above the break as well. We missed Dante, of course, but it is what it is. I think we're within 6 games of the NBA Finals. I don't think anybody could say that the Cat trade wasn't beneficial. Now, maybe some people have seen enough from Cat to say we want to see what else we could do. I'm not there yet. I like what I've seen in certain stretches. I just don't think Cat's been fully utilized. That could come back to the coaching situation. I like the fact that Towns was dominant when Brunson was off the floor. That gives you a lot to work with when you can have more point guards off the bench that don't just look for their shot, like Campaign. You set him up. You see Shamet, Delon Wright. They're telling him where to be. Get down low, post him up, and get your man down low, and dominate as well. He's just got to cut back on some of the crazy fouls. But also, we see how dominant Brunson and Cat can be, in their spots. So I build around this. I don't break it up. I build around this nucleus. You see what can happen when Hart's coming off the bench. Maybe you start Mitch next season. Maybe it's Deuce. Maybe it's another upgrade at the shooting guard spot. Maybe it's, Mikal Bridges also goes back to the bench. There's a lot of things I would do, but I would not move Brunson or Cat out of a starting lineup. That's just insanity if I've ever heard it. I know a lot of people looking at plus minus, Knicks are better without Jalen Brunson, all that nonsense. Man, it's absolute garbage. You don't get within 6 wins of an NBA Finals if your point guard isn't a good point guard. You just have to coach to the strengths and weaknesses, stagger the lineups. Leon Rose, get a few more wing defenders, build around these guys, because they can get a bucket. When you need a bucket, they can get it. And ultimately, they can give any team problems. You see what's happening when OG stays healthy as well. That's helping a lot. You see what happens when Mitchell Robinson is out there, how dominant we can be defensively, as well. So with that said, guys, what a performance from the New York Knicks, right? The job is not done as we get ready to wrap this thing up and shout you guys out on the exit. We got Game 6 coming up in Indiana. Let's hope it's a classic. Knicks win and bring this thing back for a Game 7. I like what I'm seeing off the bench. What is Carlisle going to do if Tony Bradley can't go? Is it going to be Thomas Bryant? Are they going to go more small? I suspect they'll go small. We'll have plenty of time to chop this thing up, right? 2 wins away from an NBA Finals. I could get used to this. Hopefully we're in this position for many years to come. But we have to defy the doubt. We have to rise above a lot of history and adversity to pull this off. And a lot of it is self-inflicted. But this team just has no quit. All grit, close-knit. And a lot of experience getting had from some of these young fellas as well. You see Huck Porty coming in, getting in there. A lot of the guys on the bench. This is a ride they'll never forget. But for the leaders of the ball club, Cat, Brunson, OG, Mikal, Hart, Mitch, it's over to you. Thibodeau. Legacy's at stake right now. If the Knicks can advance, their legacies will be cemented forever. Game 6 on the line. Tyrese Halliburton. Will he be doing the choke sign? Or will it be back to New York City on Tuesday night? Monday night, Game 7 would be. And let's see what happens. But the Knicks have to play a great game on the road. And Indiana will be looking to close the Knicks out. They'll be desperate because they know what's at stake. Just like the New York Knicks were desperate against Boston in this situation. But this is why we love this thing, man. Sports, the legacy factor. You just never know the way the bounce of the ball is going to go. We've had some things go against us. We've had a lot of bad luck. This thing might end with some great luck because we're going to need everything, especially to close them out in 7 by winning a 6 first. Let's go, everyone. Peace. Have a great night. Let's keep it going.